It is important to remember that tests of controls are not substantive tests. Controls are implemented by management of the entity. When the auditor tests controls, the auditor is basically seeking evidence to confirm that the controls which have been implemented by management are operating as intended. For example, an important control that all entities should do is a monthly bank reconciliation. This is a comparison of the bank statement from the bank with the bank balances in the accounting records. A bank reconciliation is very important, and if it is operating effectively, it can help identify misstatements due to fraud or error either by the entity or by the banking institution concerned. Let's see how we can apply the audit approach to this particular control. In terms of the nature of the control, we can use inquiry to obtain an understanding of the control and how it is implemented and operated within the entity being audited. For example, assume that we are auditing entity A and our inquiries indicate that Sandra, who is the accountant, prepares the bank reconciliations. As part of the control, all bank reconciliations would need to be reviewed by the financial manager, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith signs all bank reconciliations that he has reviewed. We know that inquiries alone is not sufficient appropriate audit evidence, and so we would need to combine this with another type of testing. We could both observe Sandra preparing the bank reconciliations for the last month of the period under audit and observe Mr. Smith reviewing the respective bank reconciliation. The problem with this type of testing is that in practice, the staff are aware of the auditor's presence and so are likely to do everything correct. This may not necessarily be a reflection of how things are done in the previous months when the auditor is not present. Reperformance of one of the bank reconciliations is a possible test that we could do. This would confirm that Sandra is indeed competent and knowledgeable regarding bank reconciliations, and thus the controls are more likely to be effective. However, a more efficient test of control in this situation, and which is generally used in practice, is to inspect that there are bank reconciliations prepared and that they have been reviewed by Mr. Smith. That is, inspect to see that the bank reconciliations have Mr. Smith's signature on them. This would tell us that the control, which is the preparation of the bank reconciliation and the related review by a senior, is in fact being done. The next thing we need to consider is the timing. Generally, bank reconciliations are easy and quick to test, and if we assume that we are not working to a very tight audit deadline, we can choose to perform this test after year end. With regard to the extent of testing, we would take cognizance of the fact that this is a monthly control, and so there are only 12 bank reconciliations in total. In practice, we would test 2 or 3 bank reconciliations before we conclude on the operating effectiveness of the control. To recap, the audit approach relates to the nature, timing, and extent of testing. In this clip, we looked at the specific control, namely bank reconciliations, and considered how the audit approach can be applied to this control.